everyone, so I thought I'd make a video on why I train on the flats. Many of you who may have followed me on Strava might have realised or may have wondered why I haven't been going up the mountain every day, haven't been going up many mountains, haven't been doing much elevation, etc. So I just thought I'd tell you why. So I honestly believe mountains are a preference, cycling up hills is a preference, etc. It uses slightly different muscles. It's neither better nor worse than cycling on the flats. So 250 watts or 300 watts or 200 watts is 200 watts. It doesn't matter whether you're on an incline, going downhill, or on a flat. Like I said, you may engage different muscles, but it's neither better nor worse. It's just like running engages different muscles to cycling, etc. So at the end of the day, training on the mountains, there's not much of a big thing about it, to be honest. And there's actually, in my opinion, a few disadvantages. So one of the or it could be an advantage, whichever way you look at it. So one disadvantage I would say of training on the hills is lack of speed. So because you're not going very fast, you're getting hotter, the sweat isn't dripping up, the sweat isn't like blowing off you, and also it's uncomfortable being sort of like backwards, like sort of tilted backwards. I really don't like the position. It's uncomfortable, uncomfortable in my seating area. It's uncomfortable on my back. It's uncomfortable everywhere. So I mean, that could be a case of I'm using different muscles, but it is very uncomfortable in the seating area. I find it's more lung intensive to go up the mountains. I find that my lungs are more sort of, my heart rate is higher as well. So I could be going on the flats at a certain wattage and my heart rate will be like whatever, right? And then I do the same wattage on the hills and it's higher because it's a different exercise that my body personally is not used to. So someone who goes on the hills, they might have a different story on the flats. They might not, because I remember, this isn't to insult or anything like this, but I remember riding with Eva, and we came to ride, and I thought, well, you know, she's riding up the hill every day, you know, she must be pretty fit, etc. And then, like I said, there's no disrespect meant to her. And then I see her riding on the flats, and she's riding alongside me, and she's slow as fuck. I'm like, what the hell, you know? She's 44 minutes up the mountain, which at the time, you know, even I wasn't that speed. And I thought, wow, she should be keeping up with me on the flats, but she wasn't. She was puffing and panting. She was, this is so hard, you know. She couldn't even ride 100k when I first tried to ride with her. Like I said, this is no disrespect to her. This is to use an example. So her muscles, her body was designed for going on the hills. I was on the flats because I was fat. I was a big guy, so there's no point in me going up the hills. So I was riding on the flats, and that's where my muscles were, on the flats. And then she came to ride with me on the flats, and she was nowhere. Like, I could have just dropped her easily. Whereas on the other hand, if I'd gone up the mountain with her, she would have probably dropped me. So it's neither better nor worse, but it's different. And personally, I prefer the flats. I prefer the speed. I like going fast. You know, I want to be going I enjoy going like 40k everywhere. Like, why on earth would I want to go 10k at the same wattage up a mountain, sweating my bollocks off, dripping, sweat in my eyes, sweat on my nose, sweat on my face, you know, drinking the sweat? It's disgusting. I absolutely hate it. I really don't enjoy sweating too hard. I mean, I don't mind a bit of sweat, but I find that when you're going fast, it just blows off your face and like evaporates and cools you down. Whereas when you're on the mountain or on the hill or whatever, there's not really a way of it cooling down. So mountains is definitely more of a preference thing. So if you enjoy the mountains and you've got a mountain down the road from you, perfect. Get on the mountains, enjoy them. I haven't got anything against them. My personal preference is the flats though. I enjoy the flats. That doesn't mean that I won't go up a mountain every now and again for a change. But it's definitely a bit different for me going up a mountain, and it's not my preferred riding style. I honestly prefer to ride on the flats, ride fast, travel big distances as well, see all kinds of scenes, etc. yeah, so I do really enjoy it, but also, yeah, it is nice to go up the mountain. So for me, why I don't really train on the mountains, and also inconsistent gradients as well. I really don't like the inconsistent gradients of because you're constantly like messing around with the watts, and your watts are dropping up and down, whereas when you're on the flat, it's pretty much, I mean, yeah, all right, you get a car go by you and it changes your watts a little bit, or a gust of wind or something, but it's a lot more consistent when you're riding on the flats versus going up a hills, especially somewhere like Dois Tep. It's sort of like 4% up, 7% up, 10% up, 15. Oh, it's back to 3%. Oh, it's downhill a little bit. So that's what sometimes annoys me. But yeah, if you look at my Strava, I'm riding on the flats. I'm riding at still high wattage. I'd be riding at the same wattage if I was riding up the hill. It would be no different. It would just, like I said, different muscles engaged. It's neither better nor worse. So here's my opinions on riding on the flats versus riding on the hills. They're no different, they're no better, they're no worse. 250 watts is 250 watts, whether you're going uphill, downhill, or on the flat. It's exactly the same. Oh, I might add one thing though, about riding on one advantage of riding on the mountains. Or you could see it as a disadvantage, whichever way you look at it. So riding on the mountains, depending on how high you go up, you can start to get altitude. So that you can start to get a high altitude, so the oxygen gets thinner. That can obviously be a good thing for training. If you want to obviously get fitter, you can be training at higher altitudes. But obviously you have to get really high. It's not just like 2,000 meters, it's like 3, 4, 5,000 meters sort of thing, to really start getting the benefits. And being up there for long, not like going up there and you spending 10 minutes at like between 1,500 and 2,000, something like that. You'd have to be there for quite a while. And yeah, obviously that will strengthen your system, etc. But you have to spend a lot of time up there to really get the good results. So that is one advantage that you could see about riding up hills or spending a lot of time up hills versus the flats. However, on the flats, you could also look at it as well, like the higher you go, the cooler it is, therefore the easier it is on your body. If you're riding on the flats, it's possibly hotter, so you're possibly getting all the heat training, so that's hard on your body as well. So heat training, altitude training, they're both ways to make you fitter, make you a more seasoned athlete. So yeah, I just thought I'd add that. Like I said, just slightly different muscles engaged. So anyway, leave your comments in the section below. I'm sure a lot of people have got a lot of stuff to say on this. Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next video, everyone.